More details have been released as to why Molly Qerim abruptly quit ESPN. And when I say abruptly quit, I mean she left work, I think it was on Monday, and
We have to start with the money, because in 2025 at ESPN, nothing bends the earth like a contract north of $100 million. Stephen A. Smith, for anyone still counting, has pushed his value so high it now seems to warp the company around him. $20 million a year. Not just for shouting on First Take, but for planting himself in Monday Night Football, NBA Countdown, and popping up wherever management needs an emergency ratings boost. He's the billboard face, the booming voice in every corridor of Bristol, the engine that never cools down. All that power, all that cash. And just as Smith cements his role as ESPN's most expensive omnipresent talent, his longtime co-host, Molly Qerim, suddenly slips out the side door. Blink and she's gone. The first hints trickle out as whispers she'd be leaving at year's end. But then the rug pull, an Instagram post in mid-September, straight from Qerim herself, announcing her decade-long run was over.
Times when you have someone abruptly quit a job, they're not leaving on the best terms. Normally, it's polite to give your employer some kind of notice.
Effective immediately. No farewell tour, no weeks of tributes, just one day at the desk and the next day gone. For those keeping score, Qerim's ESPN history stretches nearly 20 years. She started back in 2006, grinding through digital, then live shows, then winning an Emmy on ESPN2 before stepping into the fire in 2015 as First Take's moderator. If Smith is the gas pedal, Qerim has always been the brakes, the one who stopped debates from veering into train wrecks. By the company's script, she was supposed to transition quietly off the show at year's end. Instead, she yanked the cord without warning. Viewers blindsided, producers scrambling to fill the chair. What should have been a long goodbye became a clean break. Confirmed on Instagram before
He was quitting right now. Both ESPN and Molly Qerim, they are trying to polish the They're trying to make this look like an amicable divorce. And look, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. Maybe they couldn't come to an agreement and they agreed to amicably part ways. I'm more interested.
The bosses even had their story straight. Hours later, ESPN's president of content, Burke Magnus, rushed to douse the flames. Nothing scandalous here, he insisted. Just a case of Qerim wanting new challenges. He called her awesome, claimed ESPN hoped to keep her in another role, and admitted the timing even surprised executives. By his telling, the bridge had already been crossed, her contract winding down, her exit long planned. And yet, the harder Magnus tried to frame it as business as usual, the more the details stuck in people's throats. If everything was so routine, why did the news leak days ahead of schedule? Why was Qerim forced into a hasty Instagram post only because the story got out before she was ready? Magnus swears there's no other shoe waiting to drop. But when the president of content is this eager to shut down speculation, you can't help but wonder, what exactly are they so nervous about? Meanwhile, the human side played out in real time. Stephen A. Smith opened the next First Take with a eulogy disguised as an introduction. He called her a friend, credited her for elevating the show, and admitted, "To say I'm quite sad is an understatement." Gratitude, nostalgia, and just enough emotion to convince viewers he was as blindsided as anyone else. But then, just hours later on SiriusXM, Smith's tone shifted. He admitted Qerim had abruptly resigned, his words, not hers. He downplayed the drama, telling listeners, "The details, quite frankly, are none of y'all's business." It was a contract negotiation. ESPN didn't want to lose her, but in the end, she chose to walk away. Effective immediately, a curtain drop. Clean, fast, and...
Molly is a friend. Molly is a co-worker. Molly is somebody that I have leaned on many occasions in the past, as she has done when it comes to me. We've been partners on the show for the last...
Depending on who you believe, maybe not the full story.
It's a curious dance. Smith insists her exit was abrupt, repeats the word for emphasis, yet claims he doesn't know why. Out of the loop, he says, but why highlight the abruptness at all if this was just a routine contract dispute? Within hours, speculation swells. Insiders whisper on air, rivals and radio hosts wonder aloud if Smith knows more than he's letting on. Former ESPNer Emmanuel Aco calls out the contradiction directly. Don't tell us there are details, then refuse to share the details. He notes how Smith dangles just enough to stoke the rumor mill, then slams the door when questions get too close for comfort. The longer it lingers, the less it feels like honest confusion and the more it looks like a calculated cover. Fans already reeling from Qerim's sudden disappearance spin their own theories online. Why leave so suddenly after negotiating to stay? Why does Smith, whose face now dominates nearly every...
Last night, she abruptly resigned as the host of the show. And to say that I'm quite sad about it is an